What if the Bloodline just discovered a threat it has absolutely no idea how to deal with? Jey Uso was sent through an announce table. Jey Uso was physically restrained and forced to watch his own brother get destroyed. And when the cameras finally caught up with the Usos backstage, there was only one thing they could say. "We don't understand." Welcome back to the Ringside Observer. I'm Kai. And today we're breaking down exactly why Royce Keys and OTM just declared war on the Bloodline, why Jey Uso's authority suddenly looks meaningless, what this attack means for Solo Sikoa and LA Knight, and why Roman Reigns may soon have no choice but to get involved. Grab some popcorn and get comfortable because we've got a lot of dots to connect before this one's done. Let's get into it. The biggest story coming out of Raw isn't simply that Jimmy and Jey Uso got attacked. It's who attacked them, why they did it, and what they were trying to prove. Because Royce Keys and OTM didn't walk into that arena looking for a random fight. They targeted the Bloodline, and they did it at the exact moment when Jey Uso was trying to prove that he could keep everything together. Earlier in the night, Jey had already made his position very clear. He confronted Fatu and essentially told him to stay out of the situation. Jey was wearing the Ula Fala, carrying himself like one of the leaders of the family, and trying to establish that the Bloodline could operate under his authority. That moment was important, because Jey wasn't simply talking trash. He was trying to prove that he deserved the responsibility that had been placed on his shoulders. But then Raw delivered the complete opposite message. Jey could control members of his own family. He could challenge Solo. He could try to command Fatu. But when Royce Keys and OTM arrived, none of that mattered. And that's where this story gets interesting. The main event put Jey and Jimmy Uso against Solo Sikoa and LA Knight. And despite the complicated history between these men, the match quickly became a physical battle. Solo and LA Knight showed real chemistry. The Usos fought like brothers who knew exactly what the other was thinking. Every tag, every counter, every exchange felt personal. But just when it looked like the match was reaching its breaking point, the entire situation exploded. Royce Keys appeared and completely changed the game. He attacked both Jey and Solo. Then OTM came rushing into the chaos. Bronco Name, Lucien Price, and Royce Keys. Three men who weren't interested in negotiating. They weren't interested in explaining themselves. They simply wanted destruction. And then came the moment that changed everything. Jimmy Uso was taken down. The attack became more violent. And eventually, Jimmy was sent crashing through the announce table. But that wasn't even the most disturbing part. Because Jey Uso was forced to watch. He couldn't save his brother. He couldn't stop the attack. And he couldn't use his position or reputation to make the attackers back down. For someone like Jey, that's devastating. Because the entire night had been about authority. About proving that he could lead. About proving that the Bloodline still had control. And in less than 2 minutes, Royce Keys and OTM exposed the biggest weakness of that entire idea. The Bloodline isn't untouchable anymore. And that brings us to the question, why Royce Keys? Why OTM? And why now? Because the timing is too important to ignore. The Bloodline is already dealing with internal problems. Solo Sikoa has moved in a completely different direction. Fatu isn't exactly operating under Jey's command. Roman Reigns isn't standing in the ring every week protecting the family. And now the Usos are trying to maintain order while a completely new faction is attacking them from the outside. That's a dangerous combination. Because when a powerful faction becomes divided internally, that's when outsiders start seeing opportunities. And Royce Keys just found one. He didn't attack the Bloodline when they were at their strongest. He attacked when they were vulnerable. That's not random. That's strategy. And the psychological part of this attack might be even more important than the physical damage. Putting Jimmy through the announce table was one thing. Forcing Jey to watch it happen was something completely different. The Bloodline has used that kind of psychological warfare before. We've seen members of the family destroy opponents while their friends or relatives were powerless to intervene. Now that same kind of cruelty has been turned against them. And that's why Jey's reaction could become one of the most important pieces of this entire storyline. Because Jey has spent years trying to escape the shadow of the Bloodline. He's been manipulated. He's been betrayed. He's been forced to fight family. And now, after finally taking on a leadership role, he's watching his brother become a target. That could push Jey somewhere emotionally that WWE hasn't explored yet. Does he become more aggressive? Does he stop trying to play by the rules? Does he finally realize that the Bloodline needs every member it can get? Because there's another name sitting right there. Jacob Fatu. Remember, Jey had just told Fatu to stay out of the situation. But when Royce Keys and OTM attacked, where was the backup? That's going to create a very interesting problem. Jey may have pushed Jacob away when the Bloodline needed him most. And now, he may have to decide whether pride is more important than survival. Because Royce Keys and OTM don't appear to care about Bloodline politics. They don't care about the Ulafala. They don't care who Roman Reigns is. And they certainly don't seem intimidated by the Bloodline name. That's what makes them dangerous. Every major threat the Bloodline has faced previously could be understood. They could identify the enemy. They could study their motivations. They could sometimes even recruit them. But Royce Keys and OTM just walked in and destroyed everything without giving the Bloodline a clear explanation. And that's why the words, "we don't understand," matter so much. Jimmy and Jey aren't simply confused about the attack. They're confused about the enemy. And until they understand what Royce Keys actually wants, they can't properly prepare for what's coming next. Now imagine Roman Reigns watching all of this. His family is fractured. His captains are being humiliated. His former enforcer has his own problems. And now a new faction has walked onto Raw and attacked the people carrying his legacy. Roman has always been at his most dangerous when someone threatens the family. So the question isn't just whether Roman returns. The bigger question is, how long can he stay away? Because if Royce Keys and OTM continue attacking the Bloodline, eventually this becomes bigger than Jey and Jimmy. It becomes a direct challenge to the entire dynasty. And if Roman decides to answer that challenge, WWE could have the foundation for a major faction war. But there's another possibility. Maybe this isn't about Roman at all. Maybe Royce Keys wants the Bloodline to come after him. Maybe the entire attack was designed to provoke them. And if that's the case, the Bloodline could be walking directly into a trap. That's what makes this storyline so interesting. Nobody knows exactly where Royce Keys and OTM are going next. But we know one thing. They've already proven that they can hurt the Bloodline. And now they've given Jey Uso a reason to come looking for them. So Raw didn't end with just another beatdown. It ended with a warning. The Bloodline has a new enemy. Jimmy Uso has been targeted. Jey Uso has been humiliated. Solo Sikoa has been dragged into the chaos. Jacob Fatu remains a wild card. And Roman Reigns now has another reason to watch what happens next. The question is whether the Bloodline responds before Royce Keys and OTM strike again. Because if they don't, this could get much worse. So now I want to hear from you. Is Royce Keys and OTM the biggest threat the Bloodline has faced in this new era? Should Jey Uso bring Jacob Fatu back into the fight? And most importantly, do you think Roman Reigns will eventually return to deal with this new faction himself? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure you like the video, subscribe to the Ringside Observer, and turn on notifications because this Bloodline war may have only just begun. Until next time, I'm Kai. This is the Ringside Observer.